Alright, so from what it looks like, we're covering the Ghost type this week. Ghosts have become a lot more prominent since the removal of the move Pursuit. And because of that move being gone, Ghost has become one of the best offensive types in the game, with only normal and dark types getting the switch in on Shadow Ball and Poltergeist. As usual, you guys know how this top 10 is going to go down. Singles oriented, and has to be in Gen 9. But with that, let me know what type you guys want to see next in the comment section below. The comment with the typing with the most upvotes will be the one that we do next. With that said, Luna's World, lo-fi music. If you guys like lo-fi music, Luna's World could be the place for you. Poltergeist, luckily, is a very simple Pokemon to go into the specifics of. Step 1. Make sure that you kept hazards off the field at all times. You need that focus sash if you want to set up properly. Step 2. When properly positioned, use Shell Smash. Step 3. Either win the game or get close enough to it that it's really hard to lose. With the Shell Smash, Shadow Ball, Stored Power, and Terra Fight Terra Blast set, it can wipe through a lot of unprepared teams with minimal effort. It's a bit hard to use, especially in OU where Booster Speed Valiant, Thunderclap Raging Bolt, and Sucker Punch King Gambit are prevalent everywhere. But in UU, it has an excellent partnership with Indeedee and Hawlucha, and they form an excellent offensive trio. Just make sure that Tyranitar's Sand is dealt with before sending in the teacup. Look, I can't say I'm as well versed in Sinistcha studies as I am in Poltergeist studies. I went and got my PhD in Galar, not Kitakami. So you're gonna have to bear with me here. I can tell you what it definitely does. And what it definitely does is be annoying. Heat-proof, letting it stuff out fire types and Terra Water, plus Poison and Fairy being further menaces to society, this annoying teacup makes life your problem with moves entirely meant to make fighting it as non-fun as possible. Calm Mind, Hex, Machagacha, and Strength Sap, all in tandem with each other, make you wonder why you do anything at all as it feeds off your HP, draining your life force and slowly draining away your will to keep playing out the match. It's not invincible. Low Kicks, Greninja, Tyranitar, and now Heatran can all check it the last time I checked. It's just incredibly annoying. And speaking of annoying, Pecharunt certainly is a fella now, isn't it? This little rat bastard just loves sitting there, being physically bulky like crazy, and then spamming the chain of malignance. There is an argument to be made that Sinistcha is probably better, and I do see that vision. However, I can't help but think that Pecharunt has a slight advantage thanks to its ability to wall up, spread poisons, and recover off the damage in bad matchups. And having the ability to Terrastallize Fairy is incredibly potent. Obviously, it has checks, even in Fairy mode, as if it has to go anywhere near Heatran or Excadrill because it runs to the hills faster than Jack and Jill. But at the same time, I can't deny that Poison Puppeteer and a 50% chance to poison you every time you use Malignant Chain makes this Pokemon hard to switch into if you don't have an immediate steal on standby. And most good players will compensate for the opposing steal being in Team Preview. It's gambling, but it's rather inconsistent gambling. And for that, I'd put it slightly above Sinistcha, although I would say the spots are interchangeable. Other recommended Terra? I'd recommend fighting if you really hate Excadrill. Skeledirge is a beautiful, beautiful crocodile. Due to its fire typing though, it will always be forced to wear its boots every time it leaves the house. Otherwise, it's gonna hurt itself stepping on a rock. But perhaps this is for the better, as without the pebbles, there's a world where Skeledirge gets to run leftovers. And that makes it all the more threatening. Skeledirge is arguably the most consistent ghost and underused. Will-O-Wisp lets it nearly guarantee burning something. Unaware lets it ignore sweepers who are trying to auto-win the game. It's an excellent physical tank that can stab off the hits of Metagross, Scizor, Okidagi, and Tickaton. And with Terrastalized Fairy, it can guarantee crippling Tyranitar, low kicks, and Mamoswine. Excadrill is always going to be a threat to it. But that's the nature of Excadrill. The main issue with Skeledirge in the current environment is that it is very reliant on that Terra. But I'd argue with Torch Song threatening the stack, Recover to let it, recover, Will-O-Wisp for crippling physical attackers, and having options like Hex and Alluring Voice at its disposal, this Singing Gator from The Princess and the Frog is gonna make your eyes hurt. Just keep it away from strong special attackers like Greninja, Sandy Shocks, Keldeo, and Heatran. Speaking of Heatran, I get a feeling that it's gonna help shape the metagame actually. Ceruledge's design is excellent, and I am very, very happy that they made it good. The obvious set is usually Focus Sash and Weak Armor, using Rapid Spin support to make sure it comes in safely to Swords Dance, shortly after using Bitter Blade and Poltegeist to pretty much blow away your opponent with all Reckless Abandon, all while blasting the Versus Zero theme from Mega Man because you can't get the visual out of your head. The fourth move can be Close Combat or Shadow Sneak. It doesn't really matter. And the Terra can be Fighting or Fairy that try to live a super effective hit that would normally take your Mon out. Some players even run Terra Grass to make Great Tusk question its title. It's a glass cannon, high risk reward, high risk strategy, but the reward is incredibly satisfying. Once you're at +2, very, very few things can switch in, and none of those things are going to feel comfortable doing so. And then there's, well, Flash Fire and Bulk Up with Terra Grass or Bug. But yeah, it's a bulky sweeper and pretty consistent with heavy duty boots. But it's just, I don't know, it's good, it wins games, but it's not my style. It's not a list talking about strong ghost types or dragon types if we don't talk about Mr. Dragapult. As per usual, this stupid stealth bomber amphibious thing can do whatever the hell it wants. It can set up screens with Light Clay and then use Curse in order to sacrifice itself to get in an ally for free. It can play as a fast and loose U-turn pivot. It can be a Specs or Band attacker. It can do Will-O-Wisp, Hex, and substitute sets, even using Thunderwave. It has Dragon Dance, and it's really hard to really know what type of Dragapult you're facing until it's too late. And at that point, you just gotta adapt. Barring booster speed shenanigans, it is the second fastest Pokemon in the OU tier, right behind Deoxys speed, which does say a lot about it. It can get the jump on Zamazenta, Meowscarada, Cinderace, Roaring Moon, and Ogerpon without breaking a sweat. Imagine you're trying to use Zamazenta to check a physical Dragapult, and then you get burned by Willow. Imagine you sent your Clodsire out to check Specs Draco Meteor, and then you get hit with Banded Dragon Darts or Terra Ghost Terra Blast. Every time you send it out, it hurts. And that is the power of Pult. I mean, it's Gholdengo. It, Great Tusk, and King Gambit are the three mascots of Scarlet and Violet OU right now. For the doubles people, Gholdengo is a pain in the neck there too. Bro's just like that. The inability to take a status move, all while negating Defog and being immune to both Mortal Spin and Rapid Spin, all while boasting excellent stats across the board, allowing it to play a bulky or offensive role on the dime, it's crazy. It can run all of Choice Scarf, Leftovers, Choice Specs, Air Balloon, and probably something else I'm missing and use them as well. Thunderwave, Hex, Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, Make It Rain, Recover, Trick, to say nothing of Dazzling Gleam and Focus Blast, both of which it can make even further use of with its main Terra options, being Fairy and Fighting, depending on whether it would rather kill King Gambit or it would rather kill Great Tusk. The simple ability to ensure that no matter what, your hazards stay up, is so defining to Gen 9 OU that there are times people wanted it to just be banned. And yet, here it stays, being the golden mascot of the tier. It's definitely the strongest ghost type in OU right now. Now, what about the Pokemon above that? Annihilape remains Annihilaping with Drain Punch, Rage Fist, Bulk Up, and either Rest or Taunt with a defensive Terra like Fairy, Fire, or Water. So rather than talk about what it does, I want to talk about what it is that Annihilape is currently doing, if that makes sense. It currently has a small niche for itself in Uber's UU, a bit of an unofficial metagame, but it's better than talking about the nothing that is its Uber's career. What it's currently up to is punching the daylights at a Pokemon like Chi-Yu, Shedtail Orthworm, and Ursaluna Regular. It can use its Taunt to stop Solgaleo and Quagsire from setting up hazards, or throwing out unpleasant status moves, turning them into bulk up fodder to get its Rage Fists going. It also uses Defiant to eat defensive Lando Tea for breakfast. It just needs to be careful of the real dangerous mons, like Palkia Origin, Mewtwo, and Magearna, who all do it dirty. It's niche, but it's effective. I'm not sure if it should be number 3 or number 2, as the slot above it feels pretty interchangeable. Spectrier is a Pokemon I might be overhyping, and I imagine it and Annihilape's places are relatively interchangeable, given that in the context of UU Ubers, where these Pokemon see play, I believe they're about even in usage from when I went and checked on the usage stats. And of course, please correct me if I'm wrong. Admittedly, Spectrier is a mostly frail one-trick pony who is reliant on Shadow Ball and Terra Fairy, either Drain Kissing or Terra Blasting to get its sweep going, while basically being forced to run a combination of Nasty Plot or substitute in Will-O-Wisp into its final moveset. It's one-dimensional, but with Grim Neigh, it gets really scary if it snowballs. And for the number 1 slot, I do not know what you're expecting here. Number 1 is still the same old Flutter Mane. It still has a niche for itself as an excellent partner to Groudon and Koraidon thanks to its photosynthesis ability. It has an unwallable stab combination, and it at least has the power to at least force a Terra from 2 of the best Pokemon in the tier, being Koraidon and Miraidon, thanks to that lovely 135 speed and 135 special attack Moonblast. Did I mention it's also faster than Arceus? So now, it has the Shadow Claw instead of relying on its usual extreme speed antics. Under the sun, its mystical fires can threaten Iron Treads, and it can also block from Iron Tread's rapid spin attempts at the risk of eating an Iron Head. So yeah, even in the highest powered format, there are still cases to run it. That's just Flutter Mane, one of the best ghost types to ever live. Hell, if we throw super legendaries into the equation, its competition isn't that steep. It's probably Lunala, Dawnwing's Necrozma, Arceus Ghost, and Giratina, literally ranking it 5th overall highest ghost. And that is still an accomplishment. You may have power creep, but you don't have arms. So take that, giant floating head. I'm sorry. I know that Flutter Mane hater was gonna come in if I continued that segment. I love Flutter Mane's design, and it is incredibly cute, as I am a big Misdreavus and Mismagius fan, but I really do not like discussing that ghost creature could probably OHKO Mewtwo or something. It makes the old man in me realize that my favorites just aren't good anymore. Except Gholdengo. I do love Gholdengo, and I hope that it stays good forever, actually. Anywho though, as usual, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, and also be sure to tell me what typing you want to see next in the comment section below. Remember, the comment with the typing with the most upvotes will be the one that I do next.